When I was a little girl, the only moment that I ever really dreamed of or pictured about my wedding was the moment that I would walk down the aisle toward my husband. I didn't really think about my dress, I didn't really care about the party, but something about that moment of walking down the aisle towards the groom captivated me. I wanted the church to have a super long aisle so that I could really soak that moment in. And when I got married, that dream came to life. And it is a moment that I'll cherish forever, but not necessarily for the reasons that I imagined. Because when I was walking down that aisle towards my husband, my soon-to-be husband, that gazed at me with love and longing, it felt familiar. And I realized that I had experienced that same gaze of love and longing walking down the aisle to receive Jesus in communion 1,000 times before. In that moment, Jesus revealed to me the truth of his love, that it is real and that it is spousal. And this truth isn't just true for me, it's not just true for priests or religious, but it's true for all of us. And I want to read something from the Catechism that reveals this to us. In paragraph 1616 to 1617, it says, "This is what the Apostle Paul makes clear when he says, 'Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her.' Adding at once, 'For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one.' This is a great mystery, and I mean in reference to Christ and the church. The entire Christian life bears the mark of the spousal love of Christ and the church." That last line, "The entire Christian life bears the mark of the spousal love of Christ and the church." This is so true. Jesus is longing, he's waiting for us, and he's longing to give himself entirely to us and that we might unite ourselves entirely to him in return. And this isn't true in some abstract way. It's not just the church as a building or as an institution. The church is you and me. So much of our faith points to this reality, and yet we tend to water it down and settle for this love of God that is distant or abstract. The Bible itself starts with the story of Adam and Eve and their marriage, and the Bible ends with the wedding feast of the Lamb in Revelation, and right in the middle is the Song of Songs, which, if you've never read it, it's basically a passionate love poem. This spousal imagery is rich, and it permeates everything we believe as a church. Even our very bodies are meant to point us to this spousal reality. We are created male and female, and our masculinity and our femininity, in the ways that our bodies portray our differences but our complementarity, that reveals that we were not made to be alone, that we were made for relationship, and that we were made to be given as a gift of ourselves, first and foremost to God, but also to others. And no matter our vocation, this is what we were called to. God wanted this spousal reality of his love for us to be so clear that he stamped it into our bodies so that we could not miss it. This teaching is fleshed out in detail in St. Pope John Paul II's Theology of the Body. And it's way more than I could go into in a short video, but I encourage you to seek that out, to wrestle with those teachings, because they explain what has been called the very logic of Christianity. And in the end, it all comes down to this. Jesus longs to give himself to us entirely, like a groom waiting for his bride. And so I invite you, as you continue to grow and to search in your relationship with him, imagine yourself at the end of that aisle, looking at his longing gaze. Will you take another step towards him today?